Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. This is the Goal Getter Company. So today we're going to talk a little bit about 5 things that you can learn from a toxic relationship. This can apply to a friendship, an actual relationship. This could be a job relationship, whatever you want to apply it to, right? You can also always get lessons from things that might not seem so positive or for you in the interim, right? So let's jump in. So number 1, toxic relationships help you realize your worth, right? And like I said, this can apply to any type of relationship that you have, but if it's toxic, right, by the time that you're realizing, okay, this is not for me, this doesn't benefit me, it doesn't help me get to where I need to be ultimately, by that time you're realizing it's toxic, right? I'm sure in the interim there's some type of denial where we don't realize it's toxic. It's what we want or we're excited for it, right? And then over time, all of the different signs that we're seeing is pointing out like, hey, this is not good for me, for my success, for my growth. So just being able to identify that by the end of that relationship and sitting back and reflecting, like, I didn't respect myself, but here's what I deserve. You come out, you realize your worth. Like, I don't deserve that. I deserve to be paid for the skills that I bring to the company. I deserve not to be cheated on or lied to by my spouse. If it's a friendship, I deserve to be fully supported by my friend and empowered, just like I do the same for them, right? They say your circle is who you become, right? You become who you're close to all the time. So it's going to help you realize your worth. It's going to help you respect yourself more, right? So that is a plus. Toxic relationships help you identify your non-negotiables, okay? This is so important because before I even knew what a non-negotiable was, I would accept anything, and if it was something that someone did to me, a relationship, job, whatever, it's like I would find some type of excuse to make it acceptable, right? And I think we typically do that in relationships, in any type of relationship, because we're trying to give ourselves a reason to stay. Now, non-negotiable is basically anything that you refuse to put up with, right? You are, that's like, this is how I'm going to be treated. It's kind of like your standards, right? We all have values. We all have morals, right? So it's kind of like, here's X, Y, and Z, and I'm not going to take anything less than that. And your non-negotiables, those are things that you shouldn't negotiate. There's no compromise on those, okay? Certain things with relationships, jobs, friendships, whatever that is, there's going to be compromise, right? In certain situations, but identify what your non-negotiables are. Identify the things that, hey, no, this is black and white. I'm not going to tolerate that. Maybe it's the cheating or being lied to. Like, no, I have a non-negotiable in this relationship that everything is on the table. I'm not lied to. Like, you don't compromise on your non-negotiables. So that is something, once you come out and realize your worth, you need to sit down and write it down. Put it, when you make your vision board, you put it on the wall. Do the same thing with your non-negotiables. Put it on a index card, throw it in your pocket, right? But that's something that you should reference back to. And when you're getting those feelings again, take your card out. Like, no, this is my non-negotiable, right? It's going to help you stick to what you deserve and what you expect. That's number 2. Number 3, the person that you become after the relationship always comes out stronger, right? So the first 2 points of being able to realize your worth and then identify your non-negotiables, just hitting that point, being able to do those 2 steps, that shows strength already, right? Because in the interim of the relationship, the friendship, the job, whatever, like we talked about, you were willing to accept anything, right? So being able to create those boundaries for yourself in regards to what you deserve is it represents strength, right? That is a sign of strength. That's growth, right? You're growing as a person. And toxic things that basically create an impact on your life, they do take time, right? Behaviors take time to change. It takes time to implement new behaviors. So give yourself that credit, right? But just know that no matter what you dealt with and how that felt, at the end of that, by this time frame of you identifying those two things, you have already grown and you are stronger. And you need to really focus on that fact whenever you're feeling weak. You are strong. Number 4, self-love becomes a focus after the relationship. Okay, this really applies to with the spouse relationship, friendship, right? And it goes back to accepting whatever, right? During that toxic period of that relationship or whatever that was, I'm sure you didn't practice self-care, right? And if whatever self-care you were practicing, was it enough? Was it enough for you to appreciate yourself, to realize your worth, to really take an hour out of each day and get your mind together and focus on your goals, your wants, your needs? Like you create your life. You write your story. And you being in that toxic relationship, you're probably a giver, right? But how can you continue to give if your cup is not full? So I really feel like after that toxic relationship and you're able to identify your non-negotiables, you realize your worth, you start focusing on you more. Start making time for yourself. Self-love, literally, like that is going to cultivate so much more awareness. It's going to allow you to connect more with yourself. And it's just really important. You have to respect yourself. How can you expect anyone to respect you if you don't respect yourself, if you don't love yourself? How can you expect anyone to love you the way that you want to be loved if you haven't even identified what that is or how that is? So you have to start with you. Give yourself more time. And then number 5, you can identify the signs before losing yourself again, right? So we went through 1 through 4. We know who we are. We know what we're worth, right? We set our non-negotiables. Now going into the next job, the next friendship, the next relationship, we're able to identify those toxic signs before it gets too far, right? Before we commit, before we do the move in, before we call ourselves best friend, whatever that is. Like, you can identify the red flags. That's what everybody calls it right now. But you can stop the car before it hits the tree, right? And you've already built your self-worth by that time frame that you are okay with your decision. Like, okay, this is you, this is me, right? And maybe our paths just aren't meant to cross, and that is okay. Right? And if it's somebody else that's already in your life present, maybe it's somebody that you love, but they're toxic for you. You can love them from a distance, right? If you have a certain boss at a job or whatever that is, right? You can still, if you love your job, you can still go to work and avoid that toxic part, right? Or address it, like speak up for yourself, but use that strength. Use that strength to walk away. Don't allow yourself to get sucked back into something that's not for you. Really figure out who you are and what you want and what makes you happy. And why did you allow yourself to be in that toxic relationship for so long? There was a reason. Was it a void that needed to be filled? What was it that you were searching for? But today, if you're dealing with something toxic or you did in the past, like, reflect on where you are now. Reflect on where you are today, because it's so important to just realize your progress and recognize the person that you've became, or that you've become, right? And yeah, I'm going to leave you with that, guys. Recognize your growth. Recognize your strength. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys, and for visiting the Goal Getter Company. Hope you drop into the next video, but sending you all love. But take some time today to reflect on who you're becoming and take some time to encourage somebody else today. Have a great day, guys. Talk later.